Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Legendary Encounters for the X-Files, the deck building game. This is video part 2, so if you didn't check out part 1, I went through the rules, looked at least one of each different card to kind of get an idea of what the Legendary game series is, what Encounters is versus the other series, and what is new or different in X-Files, as well as each of the different card types. So if you've never watched any of my other Legendary videos or seen any of the other Legendary or Legendary Encounter videos, it gives you a brief run through on how the game is played. Not a step-by-step, but it was just a general idea. Plus, we kind of looked at how each card works. Then it also shows what is different for X-Files versus the other ones. Just as a quick reminder there for someone that didn't check it out but still wants to know what the differences are. This has, the big difference in here is you are playing through 3 seasons during a gameplay, and instead of having an objective at the end of each season, you are fighting an end game at the final, and then you have to beat the end game to win. So that's what makes this a little bit different than the other Encounter games. You still have your characters that come from the top area. You have to stand them to reveal them. They get to the field area, they will attack you and try and defeat you. A couple other little twists and turns is there are also evidence cards that you want to try and uncover that make the end game easier to defeat or less hard to beat, alternatively. And then there are also enemies that will appear in your main deck, as well as there are spaces on the board in your headquarters, or in this case the bureau, that give you bonuses for buying stuff, and you have to scan all of them. So yeah, it makes it a little bit more tricky to get cards because you have to scan for anything you want, but it also adds to the whole conspiracy mystery behind everything that is the X-Files. So in this video, we are going to look at our avatar cards and our agency characters and their decks. And then the part 3 video will come back and look at all the conspiracy and the endgame stuff, all the bad things. Alright, so let's hop into this. So first thing I want to do before we get into anything, we'll relook at our basic starting hand cards. So I'm going to drop my camera back down so we can get a little bit better look. So we have the Assault Team here, which are our basic starter cards that give you 1 attack. So each player will start with 5 of these. Then we will have, so we get a big giant stack of those. They're gray bordered, which are different than the tech cards, which are also gray bordered. These are called gray. I think those are technically, could be considered black, even though they kind of have a grayish looking border. But they have no special symbols, no colors up there. They have 0 cost, so if anything ever refers to a cost, it always refers back to 0. Then we also have the field agents for recruiting, and we get 7 of those. So this will make up our first 12 card deck. So yeah, we'll get that to start with. We'll have just 1 recruit cost for each. These are just your basic cards. And when you do start the game, you draw 6 cards, I believe. So you draw half your deck. So the first turn you'll draw half your deck, and then after your second turn, you'll draw the other half of your deck. So then by your third turn coming around, you'll start drawing all your new cards. So this is really, it's okay to do. It works that way. The only reason I don't like it, because that kind of means your first, this is me house ruling, so I just want to mention that first. I don't like that as a game mechanic, because it means your first 2 turns, when you're playing, you're probably not going to have enough points to be able to defeat any enemies coming in, or enough of them. This game might be stacked a little bit better than, let's say, Marvel is. So you kind of have to do that. Sometimes it might be worth at least skipping the first round before you play an enemy card, because then at least you're only going 1 round before you potentially get any cards you bought, because otherwise it's going to take your third turn for you to potentially get any new cards. And again, you could buy 2 new cards, shuffle your deck up on your third turn, and you might not draw them in your third turn. You could draw both of them in your fourth. It is very possible to do that as well. But that is those basic cards. Then we have our special agent cards. So these are kind of interesting. Most other Legendary games, you have a giant stack of these cards you can buy. They're 3 costs. They give you 2 recruit. They're basically meant to replace your field agents. So what they do is, because you can have, instead of having 2 field agent cards, you can have one of these that does the same thing. So if you got rid of your 2 field agents somehow, you defeated them, removing them from the game, this would take place for the same number of cards. So that way you could have 1 additional card in your hand. So it's very helpful here. The other 2 things these guys are going to do is, 1, there's only 5 of them. So you're not going to be able to buy 6, 7, 8 of them like you can in some other games. But you have plenty of other stuff to spend your recruit points on for scanning. But they're going to give you one of the different 5 classes. Now, they're going to be face down, so you won't know which one you get. But at least what's nice about this is that you get a bonus which might potentially help you out playing another card or triggering extra ability earlier on. The other thing that's cool about this is they'll have the coordinate ability. So coordinate is an encounter's ability which lets you, so on another player's turn, you can play a card with coordinate from your hand, basically giving it to the other player. They can choose to use it or not. They don't have to. Either way, you draw a new card to replace it. End of their turn, card goes back to your discard pile. So you get to keep the card. You're just basically borrowing a copy of it for them for their turn. So I could give this to one of my opponents, give them a special agent, Leela Harrison. So on their turn, they could choose to activate this and gain 2 recruit and have a blue class card, one of the leadership cards, which might trigger one of their abilities. So that could be very helpful if somebody's like, oh, does anyone have the leadership one? I don't have a leadership card yet, but I could trigger this card. Oh yeah, I have one. Let me coordinate that with you. Then they get to trigger that and they get a special ability right away. And then you get a new card in your hand, which might help as well. The other thing is, does also help you kind of shuffle through your deck a little bit quicker, because you buy one of these and you're drawing an extra card each time you play a coordinate ability. So those are the basic ones there. The next 2 cards I do want to show off don't actually go into, well, they do go into your deck, but they're not purchasable. Is we have a big giant stack of doubt cards, which are basically weaknesses. So when we look at the avatar cards, we'll see what each avatar has a belief and a weakness. So the other cards are beliefs. But these are basically weaknesses. They get into your hand and they cause trouble. So at the start of your action phase, or if you drew this card during your action phase, resolve your doubt, then defeat this card. You can only do this once each turn. So the upside is it does go away. You play one of these, go away. But if you have 3 or 4 of them in your hand, or you draw 3 or 4 of them, it only does it, activates it once. So then if you drew 3 of them, you're going to have 1 that's going to activate, do the bad effect, go away, and then you have 2 more clogging up the rest of your hand. So you kind of want to make sure you get rid of these. And then the other ones we have are beliefs, which are almost the exact opposite. They're going to do fun stuff for you. So you get one of these, it's going to let you draw a card, so it's replacing it, and then you can choose to activate it. So you don't have to do this when you play. You can play it, draw a card, and you can do this later if you choose to. Resolve your belief, then defeat this card. You only do this once per turn. So again, this is powerful. You might decide, oh, my belief this turn isn't going to help me. So you might just use it to draw a card, which just replaces it, basically, which is nice. Or you could use it and sacrifice it. So those are fun cards. They stick out. They just kind of sit on the field until you gain them. Alright, then we're going to look at our avatars. So these are the characters we get to play as. I'm actually going to skip him for a sec. We're going to look at him in rank order. So the rank matters for game players, just to play rank 1 character, then rank 2, then rank 3, in order that way. Around the table. But there's also some cards that might reference rank as well. So here we have Walter Stinger. I mentioned this in the first video, and I'm going to mention this now before I get any farther into this. I have seen some X-Files here and there. I had a sister that was really into X-Files, so she would know a lot more of who all these people are than I would. But yeah, I don't know who every character is. I'm going to probably mess up some of their names. Just informing you. So I'm going to kind of see, like, I know who some of the main big name characters are. Like, I've heard of Stinger. I know who Mulder and Scully are. But I don't know, like, all their little intricacies and their little details. That word did not want to come out. Alright, so then here we have their armor, which if they have to be attacked by another player, whether it's a card in here that's telling you it, or for some reason you're mixing and matching this with other encounter games. That's what that's for. And then their health is how much damage it can take. So Walker Stinger has a belief. It says interdepartmental cooperation. Choose a player. Their characters have coordinate this turn. Cool. So you can coordinate any of their characters during this turn. So that's really neat. So basically it lets every single character have it at the cost of your one belief. It means you have to find more cards to get you beliefs. So you can use this. You're not going to use it constantly, but it can be very helpful in certain times. And then his dealt is Gun and Badge. Choose another player that discard a card from their hand with printed attack, and then a card with a printed recruit symbol. Doesn't care what number the attack is, doesn't care what number the recruit is, it just has to have one printed. So if they play a card, they could play a starter card, they could play a card that has both symbols and use it for either one. But there are a few cards that don't have either, or if for some reason they don't have both, they can't use them. So that kind of sucks if you get a dealt. It's going to force somebody else to have to lose potentially two of their cards, which is going to make their turn a lot harder. Alright, then we have Fox Mulder, rank 2, who has 4 and 12. So he has belief. I want to believe each player may defeat a dealt in their hand or discard pile. So this could be very helpful, right? Sacrifice a belief, you could potentially get rid of one of everyone's thing. If you do it early and they only have the one thing, that could be helpful. Or if they start piling up for some reason, this could let you just help everybody else out. This one, I would almost say the only reason I wouldn't use it as soon as you have that belief would be if not enough people have it in there. If you know like everyone has doubts, you might want to be like, oh, oh, they have them, but if they're in their deck for some reason and they haven't drawn them yet, you might want to wait until you get them. But the problem is, as soon as they draw their doubt or play their doubt, they have to use it, and then it's defeated. So the only reason to really hold on to it is if it's only going to help. But even if it only helps one person, that's better than waiting until 2 or 3 other players trigger, and then, because unless they have multiple and they get them all at the same time, it's not going to matter. His doubt is trust no one. Players can't coordinate or discuss strategy until the start of the next turn. So this is very interesting because I usually whenever I have a game that says do something outside of normal game rules, like you can't talk or do a physical activity or play with your eyes closed or something like that, I'm usually just like, man, if you want to do that gimmicky thing, you can. Otherwise, just do as much as you can without worrying about it. This should be the one time I would probably be like, nope, I would actually do this. If you draw that doubt, it just means no one can talk about what cards they have or what they can do for that next turn until start of his next turn. I think that actually works for the way the game works, is you really need to be able to do that. You shut it down so you can't tell someone, I need that card, or I can beat something, or ask if they have a coordinate for the next turn. That really changes up how difficult the game is. Alright, we have Dana Scully here, so she has 412 as well. Believe the truth is out there. You get +1 attack for each defeated enemy alien. Here it says, doesn't seem like it matters where they are, what discard pile. Like other Marvel games, you usually have your own victory pile for whoever defeats stuff. This game is just the one pile. But yeah, she's going to get stronger potentially as the game goes on. Now let's say potentially because it depends on how often you draw aliens and if you can defeat them. Doubt. Wish it were that simple. Each player defeats a belief in their hand or discard pile. Oh, that could really suck, losing your beliefs. Alright, for our rank 4, we have John Dodgett. Belief. Dodged investigation. Look at any hidden card in the bureau or shadows. You may scan it. Oh, so this is fun. So what this does is lets him look at a card, and then he has the option to scan it if he like for free. In the bureau, there's really no reason not to do it. In the shadows, why would you not want to? Maybe it has an ability that flips over that's gonna, discard 3 cards from your hand. You're like, I can't afford that right now. So that could be potential. You might want to wait on that. But it could help you also find the like clues and the leads and stuff a lot, or informants a lot quicker. So or you might be like, I'm gonna scan the card in the last section, which costs 4. Oh, okay, that's one that we can take care of later. It costs like 2 to defeat. We'll wait till it gets down to the 2 and we can defeat it in 1 turn. Then he has doubt, unfinished business, gain a doubt. Just gains a doubt. So that's gets rid of 1, gains a new one. And their last avatar playable character is Monica Reyes. Reyes. Believe knowledge is power. Choose an enemy, draw a card for each of its types. Okay, interesting. Most enemies, as far as I can recall, only have potentially 2 types. Usually it's like creature, a human creature, or alien creature, or construct spirit, or spirit human, some combination, or I need the syndicate. I think the syndicate characters are all syndicate enemies, but yeah, bare minimum 1 card draw. Potentially you might get 2. Doubt, pragmatistic. Choose a player to draw a strike. Oh, you definitely don't want her to have doubts because she's gonna start hurting everybody. Cool. So those are all of our different, characters there. All right, so then we're gonna go ahead and look at their academy decks, so we can kind of see what we get to do there. I just gotta rearrange some cards here because I reshuffled up a deck earlier. All right, so these are our cards that are gonna make up our main deck. So we're gonna have 4 copies of Fox Mulder. Look at his first. We have Spooky. So he has a yellow card, which is Intellect. Costs 2, does 2 damage. This is pretty decent. So activate. Alien enemies. Enemy aliens have -2 attack this turn. So this makes any alien that you would come across 2 cheaper to be able to beat. But only 2 less attack. So I just want to show this off. So like, for example, we have this Bounty Hunter Shapeshifter. Is an alien, but he has recruit power. To defeat him. So that doesn't help you at all. Because he doesn't have an attack. He has a recruit. So, but activate you can do any time during the turn, but only once. And once you activate it, if for some reason you drew another alien enemy, he wouldn't also gain it. It only goes for the ones that were out. Then he has a green Will, Regression Hypnosis. Costs 1, very cheap, which is always nice to have. Gets you 1 recruit, 1 attack, has coordinate, so you can help it with other players, and has a combo power. So if you play another willpower in front of this, another green card, you can activate to put a random card from your discard pile into your hand. So the smaller your discard pile is, the better. And what's even cool, good combo for this, is if you just refreshed your deck and you just draw a new hand and you have no discard pile, the first card you purchase or recruit goes to your discard pile. So you could then use this ability to guarantee you're getting that card. Be an interesting combo. And then someone else could coordinate with you to get your green if you needed to early on. He has 2 copies of Sins of the Father. Has 4 costs and does 4 attack. You can't play this if you have a doubt in your discard pile. Just a little bit tricky to play then. Powerful, but yeah, if you have a doubt, it's not going to happen. Luckily, he has ways of getting rid of doubts. We have 2 copies of Photographic Memory. 3 costs with 2 recruit. Activate. You may keep any number of cards that are in your hand at the end of this turn, and then drop it back up to the normal 6. This is actually a fun ability. So that way, if like, oh, I have 3 recruit cards, I have cards that have 3 recruit, and 2 that have attack. And you're like, oh, next turn, I really need to just attack. You could just keep the 2 attack cards, not spend them, and then your next turn, hopefully draw more attack cards. So that's a really fun ability. His rare or ultimate cards are Samantha Mulder. 5 costs for 3 recruit. Sacrifice. Defeat each doubt in each player's hand, deck, and discard piles. So this is fun. The ultimate cards are always really cool. They're generally in regular other legendary games. They're usually like overpowered cards. You get 1 of them. This game you actually get 2 of them, which is really fun. I always like to just try and talk about like are they worth it for it? So 5 for 3 recruit is pretty good. Then you have the option of sacrifice. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you do, defeat each doubt. This could be very helpful if, like, you all of a sudden just all got hit with a bunch of doubt, like in the last turn or two, or it's building up. This could be definitely a game changer. Only is going to happen once, though. Once you sacrifice it, you don't get a user anymore. Yeah, otherwise, just 5 for a 3 cost isn't that great, but the potential to, like, save you is worth it. Then he has Criminal Profiler, who has 6 cost per 3 attack, which is a little bit low. But, again, these guys have activate effects, which really make a difference. Activate, choosing an enemy to lose its text this turn. Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely a game changer there as well. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just, if we look at this guy, for example, he has ongoing. Leadership characters, blue characters, can't be recruited from the Bureau. You can activate this card, although it's his 3 attacks, not going to be able to take him out. You can shut that off and it lets you recruit a card. I'm sure there's some that are a little bit more bad. Like, this might be a good one. He costs 6, so now you only need 3 more attack to take him out. But it says, defeat, shuffle this enemy into the academy. So if you play this ability, it shuts that off. So that way you defeat him, he doesn't get shuffled into the academy. So this could be a very good, very, very powerful card. And the fact is you can activate it whenever, because there might be an ability they do that is worth it for you. Like, if it just always work, yeah, most of the time it'd be perfectly fine. But there might occasionally be times when you're like, it would be nice to have that trigger because it gained me a recruit point or let me draw a card. You know, something like that. Alright, that was our Mulder character. Now we have Dana Scully. She has 4 copies of her Personal Faith, 2 costs per 2 attack. Activate. You may cancel 1 strike. You draw this turn. When you do, draw another strike. Interesting. So yeah, you draw a really bad strike. You could potentially draw it, hopefully get something a little bit nicer to deal with. There's a lot of activating effects in this set, which is really cool. She has 4 copies of Medical Doctor, 2 costs per 2 recruit, who has Coordinate. If you played another red science card, activate. Heal any one of your strikes. So right here, she's gonna be your healer. Mulder's gonna, so far, his special stuff is just kind of like, getting rid of your doubts a little bit, or making enemies easier to fight. She's gonna be all about trying to heal you. She can take strikes, and then she can use them to heal stuff. She has 2 copies of Skeptic, 3 costs per 2 recruit. Activate, resolve your belief, then gain a doubt. Ooh, that's fun. And one thing to mention, just because I'll look at this, so again, I kind of said this in the first video, I don't know if I said it in this one. When you're playing, so if I'm playing as Mulder, I don't put Mulder's cards into the deck to play as. The idea is I'm playing Mulder, you're playing Scully, right? Player 1, player 2. We don't put Mulder and Scully cards in there. All the cards that are in the agency are the people we're teaming up with. So if you want to see these Agent Scully or Mully cards, you'd have to pick one of the other avatars. That's the idea of it. And so half of our Academy cards are the 5 main characters, and there's 5 other characters to switch out. Yes, it's kind of a neat mechanic there. You can, although if you play enough, you can go ahead and add them in there if you want. Nothing's going to stop you. It's just how the game was designed to be played. But yeah, resolving your belief, then gaining a doubt could be very worth it. Alright, then we have 2 copies of William Scully Ahab. 4 costs per 2 attack. Activate. Defeat an enemy creature that was revealed this turn. So, yeah. 4 for 2 is not always the best. If it was 3, it would be pretty average, but it's a little bit below. But the fact you can defeat an enemy that's a creature that was revealed this turn is very helpful. You use that to scanning area. Oh, reveal it. And then you can take it out. Not going to always hit. Might not be able to reveal a card this turn. Might not reveal a creature this turn. But if you do, that's a powerful ability. Alright, then we have her ultimate cards. We have Forensic Pathologist. 6 cost for 3 attack, which is, again, very low. But heal a scar from any player. Nice. I wish it said scar or strike, because if you don't have any strike or scars yet, then it doesn't really help you. But be able to, this is one of the few cards that's ever going to let you heal scars, which are harder to get rid of then. And then we have a Baby William. 5 cost for 2 recruit or 2 attack. Or both, actually. Activate, switch any 2 cards in the shadows. Ooh, I don't know what that has to do with Baby William. But that is a fun ability in itself. To be able to, yeah, turn around and like swap 2 cards around. Because now you could stand like a level 2, stand a card at 2 and like, oh, that guy's going to be hard to defeat. Then flip them with somebody else. And it could be a card that you haven't revealed yet, but it might let you reveal a card towards the end that's, you know, early on, and then now stand it for 2. So that could be very helpful. Cool. So that's Dana there. Alright. We're going to hop in. We're going to look at the avatar characters first. So we have Walter Stinger, 4 copies of Assistant Director. 3 for 2 recruit. Activate. Choose any player to draw a card. Great. You can choose yourself if you want. Get you another thing to help out your turn. Maybe you don't need the extra card. You're like, I don't really have enough attack or recruit to do too much this turn. But somebody else needs something. Or maybe they got hit with a discard effect. You could help them out for their turn. Make their turn a little bit better. Always cool. 4 copies of Marine Veteran. 2 cost for 2 attack. Who has Coordinate. So I assume everyone has one of those Coordinate abilities, which is good. For a blue and activate, you may defeat a starting card in your discard pile. Ooh, that is a good card. So why do you want to get rid of your starting cards? You don't want to do it too early, but eventually you want to, because then when you're drawing your new hand of 6 cards, the less starting cards you get, the more better purchase cards you get. If you do it too early, you're going to end up running out of attack or recruit if you don't have stuff to replace them. But like, right, if you purchase this card, which gives you 2 attack, you could potentially get rid of 2 other starter cards, and then now, same thing like we're talking like this special field agent. Because then now you're drawing that 1 card that replaces 2 others, which means now instead of having 4 or 5 starter cards, or 6 starter cards, you're having 4 starter cards and this card instead, which is a much better hand because now you have that 1 additional attack or recruit points. So those are fun that they're giving us that card. We have 2 copies of Questionable Loyalties. 3 for 3 recruit. Activate. You may use recruit and attack in any combination to fight syndicate enemies this turn. I like this. So each character also seems to have some sort of ability that lets him affect specific enemies. It was creatures for Scully. It was aliens for Mulder. His is syndicate enemies specifically. But the fact is you can use more stuff to take them out is very helpful. 2 copies of Boxing Aficionado. 4 cost for 2, which is low, but he has to clean up. When you draw a new hand, draw an extra card for each strike you drew that dealt damage to you this turn. Interesting. She's very specific, because he needs to take damage that turn to get it. So, not really my favorite card. Because after each one that deals damage this turn. It'd be more interesting if you draw an extra card for each strike you have. Because then you could potentially be like, hey, I'm lower in health, I got 3 extra cards, right? But yeah, interesting. Alright, his ultimates are off the books. We have 1 copy of this. 5 for 2, which is very low. Activate. Choose any player to gain a belief to their hand. Hey, giving any character a belief, that is crazy. And this other one is Undercover Operative. 6 for 2 and 2. Yeah, I think all their powers and costs are a little bit lower in general in this game, especially compared to like Marvel, which are superheroes. But it's because they all have these activate abilities. Lots of the Marvel ones just have they do something or they have lots of combo powers. So activate, resolve any other avatar's belief from inside or outside the game. That is pretty great. So that's really worth 6. Just every time you played this, did it do that ability? That's cool. Alright, our third character is John Dodgett. So he has 4 copies of Tough as Nails, 2 for 2 attack, willpower, and then activate. You may turn one of your strikes into a scar. Interesting. The only reason I can possibly see doing that is if you have the Dana Scully card. It's going to let you heal scars instead of strikes. Unless one of these has an ongoing ability. No, none of them have ongoing, so I don't really know why you would want it. Well, no, that's not correct. Why would you want to? Because a scar is only 1. It's going to be 1 damage no matter what. If you have a strike that costs 4 or 5, you can flip it over and it becomes a 1. So it would actually kind of... You're still taking damage. It might be harder to heal. Because only the 1 card so far we've seen that does it. Where Dana also has 4 cards that let you heal with strikes. But you're also going to be taking... If you had 4, now it's only 1. So you gain basically 3 extra hits. Okay, cool. We have 4 copies of Police Officer. 0 cost. Ooh, a 0 cost regular card. I don't think I've ever seen that. Has 1 attack as activate with the top card of the Conspiracy, Strike, or Academy deck. Interesting. So it doesn't actually let you do anything with it, but you at least get to see what's coming up next. Like, oh, can I afford to take the strike? You flip it up. Oh, it's a miss. Yeah, go ahead. Take a hit. Oh, it's the 5 one. I can't afford the 5, so we have to take this guy out this turn. Same thing with the Conspiracy deck. You can see what's potentially coming up next. So if you have next turn, you can kind of maybe be prepped for whatever's going to be in that last area. You know, if it's worth staying or not. Or the Academy deck, you can see what's coming up next. You can look at it. Oh, okay, the next card costs 3. So if I buy this, I stand it for 2, and I buy it, I can afford it because it's 5. I have 7. I can purchase that. Versus, oh, it's a 6 cost card. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford that this turn, so you could just avoid it. Interesting. Knowledge is always helpful. 2 copies of Manhunter. 4 for 2 recruit. Activate. Put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. Great. That's anything like a character card from your discard pile. So you can't put a belief on there or a doubt for whatever reason. But yeah, getting to stack your deck a little bit is always helpful. 2 copies of Occam's Principle of Limited Imagination, or Occam's, probably Occam's, like Occam's Razor. 3 cost per 2 attack. Activate. You may use attack to stand the bureau and recruit characters this turn. Ooh, that's fun. So if you play a more attack-heavy character, you can still recruit. That's cool. Alright, his ultimate, you have Tragic Loss. For 5, gets you 2 attack and recruit with an asterisk. Activate. You gain additional recruit and attack equal to the top defeated characters printed attack and recruit. Interesting. So this could be 1. It could be 5. Depending on what you get. So I just want to grab some of like these syndicate enemies here because their guys will be in the deck. So you could get like 6. You could get a 3, a 5, a 3, a 5, a 3. This guy's a 2 and a 4. Yeah, some very interesting numbers in there. So yeah, so very cool. This could be a potentially very good card. Now, if I'm sure if I look through the other, some of the other ones, there's probably some that are like 1s and 2s as well. There's that one that was 25. Imagine getting 25 extra attack on here. If you somehow beat this guy, First reveal in the shadows, hide this enemy, you have to find him again. Elude, defeat each enemy in the field. As enemies in the field at the end of any turn, resolve its text and then defeat it. Interesting though, but that's 25. If you can somehow defeat him, right? Also, you have 25 extra attack on here. Like this guy though has like 2. So right, so that's kind of cool. Alright, then we have Faithful, Dependable, and Without Guile. 6 costs, 3 recruit and 0 attack. Vigilant. Discard this card to gain 3 attack. Alright, so Vigilant's a neat new keyword for this set. What it means is when you play it, it stays on the table. It doesn't go to your discard pile until you use it. So yeah, basically this comes out, and it's just going to just sit around until you decide you need 3 attack. So very cool. It does limit your recruiting power though, so you might not keep it out too long, or you might discard it right away, do a quick stand of something, just so you can get your recruit power back quicker. But it might make sense to do this until you have to reshuffle your deck. You're like, alright, I have 12 cards in my deck, there's going to be 2 more turns. May as well wait until you have to reshuffle your deck to discard this, because then it'll go back to your discard and you can draw it again. Using it right away and throwing your discard and have it sitting in your discard pile for 3 turns doesn't do any good. Alright, then our 5th avatar character that we can play as is Monica Reyes. Psychic Vision says 4 copies of this. 2 recruit for 2 attack. Play an intelligence card. Activate. Look at the top 2 cards of the strike deck. You may discard any of them. Ooh, that is super helpful. Being able to just get rid of some of those extra strikes if you need to. Like if it's a big giant one, you'll leave the misses. And you can discard any. So it's not even like it's forcing you to discard all of them. So that's very cool. Alright, then we have 4 copies of Occult Expert. 1 cost. Watch it. A little bit cheaper cards in this set, which is always great. 1 recruit, 1 attack. Activate, you get +1 recruit, 1 attack for each revealed enemy spirit. Okay, so she deals with spirits. So we've had creatures, aliens, syndicate. She has spirits. 2 copies of Past Lives. 4 cost for 2 recruit. Activate. Discard any number of starting cards from your hand, then draw that many cards. Nice. So she gets kind of a little bit rewarded for keeping those starting cards. You can discard to draw some new cards. Although if you eventually eliminate them, you'd just be drawing those cards anyhow. 2 copies of Protector. 3 cost for 2 attack with Vigilant. Discard this when another player draws a strike that deals damage. Cancel that strike. Nice. So she's great for keeping you alive. Her ultimate ability, Numerology, 6 cost, 2 recruit, 2 attack. Activate. Add 1, 2, or subtract 1 from the attack or recruit on one of your cards or an enemy this turn. Interesting. Very minor, but that could make or break stuff. Giving you all of a sudden, like just with this card, giving you either 3 recruit or 3 attack. Or with one of the enemy cards, you could minus their attack by 1. Making them that much easier. Or attack or recruit, making that a little bit easier to defeat. Plus, there might potentially even be something that says, there might be a card that might specify if you have 3 recruit or 3 attack, unless it doesn't say printed. That could even do something, because you could subtract one of your emotes there as well. Neat. That's a fun card. And then her other ultimate is a Thread of Evil. 5 cost for 2, which is very low, but her activate ability is choosing enemy type other than human. You get +2 attack for each enemy with that type. Oh, so this is neat. So, again, it's going to be, with any of this stuff, it's not going to always activate at its best, but if you have a bunch of enemies out that have the same type, she's going to get very powerful. And since you can have enemies in the field, enemies in the shadows that are revealed, and syndicate enemies that are in your bureau, you could have a lot of potential for when this could trigger, and then hopefully with that you can take some of them out, which then will make this weaker, but that's still pretty cool. Alright, so we have 4 more characters to go through, which are the other half of the set. So yeah, let's hop in and take a look at those guys. So we're going to start with the Lone Gunman. Also a spin-off series. So we have Langy. 2 cost for 1 recruit coordinate. For a tech activate, choose one of your characters to change its recruit and attack, or vice versa. Yeah, so you basically just swap the 2 around if they have any. So yeah, if you have a lot of recruit, you could have it become attack of that. Now it only changes it for that 1 character card, not for your total amount. So if like you have a 2, a 3, and a 4 attack, you could change the 4 to the other one or one of the other ones, but you can't add them all together and then change the overall total. Still pretty nice for a low level card. Gives you some options. We have 4 copies of the Lone Gunman newsletter. 1 cost for 1 attack. Activate, stand the leftmost hidden card in the shadows. It's the 2 cost, but this is a very powerful card. Do not have to spend that 2 to constantly stand the extra area. So basically you get this, you're going to activate it every time without fail. It's the leftmost hidden card. So I'm saying the 2 cost. Your leftmost one that's hidden might be the 3 or 4 cost, depending on what you've all revealed. So very helpful. 2 copies of Buyers. 3 cost for 2 recruit. Activate. Choose an enemy and change its attack to recruit or vice versa. Oh, neat. So we have one that does it for you, or one that swaps the enemies. So then you might be able to switch them to something you can manage more. That's fun. 2 copies of Froti. 4 recruit for 2 attack. Activate, stand any space in the bureau. Oh, these guys are really nice. Give you a lot better options to do stuff. I can see how someone might leave them out. Because again, you're not going to play with every character. You're going to play with so many of the different characters that you have available. But you can definitely see why this would be a very interesting one to use all the time, because you're getting all these extra options for stuff. But maybe you want to just focus on more attacking or defending. Cool. Hack Anything, their first ultimate. 6 cost for 3 attack. Activate. Stand space in the shadows of the bureau for each revealed and defeated construct. So they're going to play with constructs. I like the defeated part too, because that at least potentially stays bigger. So first time you play this, it could easily be 0, but it could get up to like 3 or 4. And even still, the highest it ever needs to be is 4. After that, it doesn't really matter. Cool. And then we have Paranoid Conspiracy Theorists. 5 for 2 recruit and 2 attack. Activate. You may replace an evidence that is discovered but failed to be collected with a random evidence from the same type outside the game. The new evidence is also discovered. Interesting. I think the same type means it has to be priority 1, 2, or 3. I don't think they had other types on there. No, I think that's just be the same priority level. But that's kind of a fun card to have. Again, this might not trigger very often, but when it does, it can be super helpful. So if you discover one, but you couldn't collect it. Yeah, you're bringing a new card. That is cool. Alright. Our next character, we have 4 copies of Brad Fulmer. Departmental Restructuring. 1 cost for 2 recruit. Have a leadership you can activate, rearrange the bureau. Ooh. This is fun. So, what's very cool about this is because depending on what you have standing or what's under the spaces, you might want... I really want to buy this card, but it would be better if it was on this space to activate this ability. That's going to let you do it. When I play this, I'm going to have to play it differently than I play the other legendary games. Because usually with the headquarters of the bureau in this case, anytime I buy a card, I usually shuffle everything to the left. And then whatever card's in the leftmost spot, after a while, we'll discard it. Like, oh, no one's bought this card in a while, so we'll just get rid of it and we'll draw a new one. This one, we really almost can't do that, because one, we don't know what it is. The only way it could be is we reveal it, and you could just let it sit there for a while. But then even that's still not fair, because then you're moving whatever's in the 4 spot over to a lesser spot all the time. So yeah, I think this one I'm not going to be able to do. I'd have to just replace it right where it's at. And then this card becomes that much more effective. So very interesting. We got 4 copies of Take Charge, 2 cost per 2 attack. Activate with a top card of the Academy, you may defeat it. Oh. So this could get rid of bad guys out of your deck very quickly. Also, though, you could get rid of a card that maybe nobody else wants. Like you flip over and let's say you get like even the previous card, it lets you rearrange cards. And everyone's like, no one's really using that card. Defeat it. Then it's not in the bureau anymore. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah, it lets you get rid of a card that nobody really needs. You have like one of them guys that says, like Mulder's card, that says minus for aliens. Well, the particular game you're playing, you haven't had any aliens come up, right? Get rid of it. You know, might be useful. Cool. We have 2 copies of Reassignment. 3 cost per 2 recruit. Activate. Choose a player to take the next turn. Ooh. Okay, so this is interesting because you're supposed to play in rank order. So instead of normally going left to right around the table, you always play, so it'd be Stinger, Fox, Mulder, Dana Scully, Doggett, then Reyes. Always in that order. This will let you skip around. Why is that going to make a difference? Even if you're not playing that way and you're just playing around the table, regardless of where anyone's sitting and who cares about their rank, it could be very much like, oh, okay, I went, and then the next player's like, okay, I can go, but I can't defeat the guy in there, and the third player's like, I have enough attack, I can take him out. Then we don't have to get a strike. Sweet, switch it over, let him play it. And then I'll go back to player 2. That could be a very cool way to, like, you jump around for who can defeat something because they have points at that turn. That's cool. We have 2 copies of By Any Means Necessary. 4 cost per 1. Whoa, that's low. But it says activate. You get +1 for each assault team you have played this turn. Oh. So he gains bonus for keeping the starter cards around. Interesting. Yeah, so I've looked at that for a sec. So if he plays, let's say he plays 3 of them, right? So he has 1. He's going to gain the 3 for them. So now he has 4, but he's getting an extra 3. So 5, 6, 7 costs. So basically it turns all your assault teams into 2s instead of 1s, which is very cool. Alright, we have Promotions and Emotions. His ultimate, which costs 6, gives him 3 attack. Coordinate. Activate. With a top card of your deck, you may draw it or defeat it. Very good. So again, you could get rid of a card, maybe a starter card or whatever, something you might not want. You purchase early, now you have other cards to replace it if they're better. Or, if you happen to come across a doubt card, you could just go ahead and get rid of it ahead of time. So that's cool. Then his other one is Bureaucratic Authority. Ooh, a 7 for 4. Activate. Gain a revealed character in the Bureau. Just freely gain a card. Very, very nice. A free gain is always not a bad thing. It has to be revealed, so it does have that little bit of a drawback. But of course, if you gain a card, it goes into your discard pile. So you don't gain it right to your hand, but that's still pretty darn powerful. Alright, So those were some of the main characters and some of the sub characters that have been in a bunch of stuff. So we have a couple of characters that I had to look up to see like how often these guys appeared. This is Charles Burks. He appeared periodically through the first 4 seasons. The King of Digital Imaging. So he has 1 cost. Crew Recruit says play attack, activate, avoid any 1 strike this turn. Okay. Very good. Not bad at all. For a 1 cost, everyone can get 1 easily. 4 copies of Aura Photography. 2 costs for crew attack. Activate. Choose an unused class ability card you play this turn and use it. Oh, that's nice. So, if you didn't use a class ability, you can get 1. So you can just activate it no matter what, it sounds like. That's fun. 2 copies of the Glamours of Academia. 4 costs for 3 recruit. Activate. The next time you would gain a card from the Bureau this turn, you may instead have another player gain it and its Bureau power. Oh, so for me, this is Aquaman from the DC deck building game. He did this effect a lot. I actually find this really fun because, yeah, right, you can pass off cards to other players. You can if you get a few of these, you can use it to support everybody else. You just want to make sure that you're not denying yourself cards. So at the end of the game, you're not doing anything. But that's always fun to be able to help somebody else. Like, oh, I can't afford that. Hey, let me buy it. And then plus, they might have it ready for the next turn. Plus, they get that Bureau power. It's just kind of cool. 2 copies of Haven't Seen This for a While. 3 costs for 2 attack. Activate. During the next conspiracy phase, add the new enemy card directly to the field. Ooh. I'm not even sure about this. If you have a way to reveal it, great. Otherwise, this could be very risky. Because you might end up getting a strike from them if you can't defeat them if they're too big. The ups or the other this is enemy card. So if it ends up, you flip it over, it ends up being like a lead or an informant or an event, it still activates. They still go like normal. I wonder, no, because that can't be right, because it has to be. Because there's no way for you to know it's an enemy card without flipping it over. There's a couple rules in here for specific characters. Does it mention this one at all? No. Yeah, so I would assume that would mean any card that you flip automatically goes right into the discard pile. Alright, I took a quick pause to check Board Game Geek, see if anybody said something. Same thought as I thought. Is it really should set an enemy card, it's a conspiracy card. So anything gets flipped down there, so if it's an enemy, it's already revealed. It could be good, could be bad, because it lets you take care of it right away without having to spend extra time to scan it. But on the other hand, if it has like a triggered ability or something that happens when it gets to the field, that's also going to immediately trigger too. So if you have some way to reveal the card ahead of time or know what's at the top card of the deck and you know it's coming, this could be very beneficial. By itself, it's a risky gamble. So if it ends up being an event card, it's just going to I think it's just going to activate because it's revealed. If it's a informant, you only get that turn to do it. If it's a lead card, you only get that 1 turn to do it. And chances are you're not going to discover and collect it with that same card, which then now means you're not going to probably get that. So it's very risky unless you can somehow look at the card. And there are other cards that let you do that, we've seen, so it's not impossible. It's just tricky. Alright, then we have his ultimate, which is Chronal Discharge. Or Coronal Discharge? Not Chronal, Coronal Discharge. 6 cost per 3 recruit coordinate. Activate, defeating enemy spirit. So again, we have another card that targets specific enemies. Coordinate ability is very helpful for that. Then his last one is proprietary imaging software. It's supposed to be proprietary, but it's proprietary. 5 with a cost of 3, or cost of 5 with an attack of 3. Activate. You look at an undiscovered evidence card. Ooh, okay. So that's kind of neat. So you know what the evidence is. So maybe if you feel it's worth your time trying to get it, maybe you can see like, it's the third one. I don't really care that much. Maybe it's something that's not going to hurt you that much or something like that. Could be very interesting. It just lets you look at it though. So it's kind of a weird effect. It doesn't reveal it. It doesn't let you do anything else with it. It just lets you see it ahead of time. I guess you know if it's a threat or not. But that should have almost been maybe on like a lesser card. I don't know. Interesting. He has some interesting stuff, but he's kind of a weird gambly character. Alright, then for our last character, we have Sean Penrose. So I saved him for last because I looked him up and he looked like he was in a bunch of stuff in season 3, and then he might not have been too much around after that. So maybe the lesser known character. Maybe a lot in that season, but didn't seem like he lasted long after that. We have Head of the Psy Crime Lab. So 1 cost for 2 recruit. If you play another intelligence, activate to draw a card. Always fun to draw more cards. 4 copies of it. Keep up the good work. 2 cost for 2 attack. If you play a science card, activate. When you draw a new hand in the cleanup phase, draw an extra card. So this has extra resources, which are always good. 2 copies of Rigorous Investigation. 4 cost for 2 attack. Activate. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may discard any number of them. Put the rest in the back in any order. Nice. Yeah, so kind of stack your deck a little bit. Very helpful. 2 copies of Professional Colleagues. 3 costs for 4 recruit. Wow. You don't often see a lower costing as the result. Coordinate. You can only coordinate this card. You can't play it on your turn. Oh, that's why. Interesting, though. That's a fun effect. Alright, then he has Data Analysis. 6 cost for 3 attack. Activate. Each time you would stand a space in the shadows this turn, draw a card. So that's just very helpful for standing stuff. And then our last one is In the Line of Fire. 5 cost for 4 recruit. Sacrifice to avoid each strike this turn. 1-time use, but to not die is pretty decent. Cool. So those are all our avatars and our main characters. So, trying to see if there's any other decks we want to go through. We'll look at the League and Informants and all that stuff in the next one because they go into the Conspiracy deck. We'll also save these Syndicates, which go into this deck for the next one. We'll kind of look at all the bad stuff in the next deck. We do have our cliffhanger cards, so let's jump through those quick. So the cliffhanger cards, again, were if you play the game, if you win, you gain extra. If you're playing through a series of games, if you win, you get one set of cards. If you lose, you gain the other set of cards. It's kind of just to like give you a plus or minus to even the game back out for the next player. For the next game. So let's take a look at that. It's a reminder here. If you won the game, if you're playing a series, you're playing multiple games in a row. If you won the game, the conspiracy isn't comfortable with your product. Shuffle 2 of the got too close cards for each player's avatar into a pile. If this isn't the second game and you won the first game, don't include got too close cards that was drawn after the first game. So the second time, you don't get to keep the cards from the first one regardless. Draw 1 randomly and give it to the player. That card's avatar, put the rest in the back of the box. So if I'm playing a 4-player game, I won the game, I'll put all all of the got too close cards into the game, and then one of the players will get this extra bonus card. If you lose, you do the same thing except for the unexpected help. So if you won, it's going to give a hindrance to one player. If you lose, you're going to get an extra help for one of the players. And if you win both games, then you're going to get double help or double hurt. So, right, let's look at our characters in order. So we have Stinger, and they're going to have these gray backs this week. Them. So it's unexpected help. So these are the ones if you lose the game. He has reopening the X-Files. You start the next game with an additional lead, reveal the rightmost space of the shadows, and defeat this card. Nice. So, whenever you use this, yeah, so you can go ahead and get rid of a thing right away. Start with an additional lead. That's very helpful. Or you could get leverage. Defeat this card, defeating any enemy syndicate character. So yeah, that's not bad at all. Just extra little helps. Again, you're only going to get one of these total. If you want to make the game easier, you could give everyone one of these cards. Or if you want to make the game harder, you could give everyone one of the negative ones, which are got too close. So it could actually change the game a decent amount. Nanotechnology Infection. Shuffle this card into the strike deck for the next game. When a strong Stinger draws 3 strikes, then defeat this card. Ooh, dang. And then we have Cliffhanger. Hands are tied. Add 3 extra syndicate enemies to the academy for the next game. Defeat this card. So yeah, it just kind of messes with setup, makes the game a little bit more tricky. If we're using Fox Mulder, we get to have Cliffhanger of Closure. You start the game with 2 beliefs in your deck. Nice. Or, the key to everything. Defeat this card, use each of your class abilities. You can use abilities you've already used this turn. So nice, just double your effects for 1 turn. If you got too close, you have On Trial. When a player would gain a belief, put it beneath this card instead. If there are 3 beliefs here, defeat this card. So you lose 3 beliefs throughout the game. Or we have Black Oil. You start the next game with 2 scars. Ooh, that could be a pain. Alright, for Scully, for her helpful, we have a Sudden Family. Defeat this card to gain a revealed character with 3 recruit or less in the bureau. Or we get Renewed Faith. Defeat this card to defeat each dealt in your hand, deck, and discard pile. Nice. She got too close though. We have a Mysterious Illness. You start the next game with a Mortal Wound strike on you. Defeat this card. Or we might have Abducted. Choose an Academy character at random and remove each card with that character's name from the next game. Defeat this card. Oh boy. So this one could really hurt. All of a sudden you're losing an entire character from the game. Wow. That one's actually seems to hit harder than all the rest of them. Alright, if we're playing as Gadget, you might get Task Force Leader for some help. You start the next game with your random special agent in your deck. That's always cool. Release. Choose a defeated Academy character from a previous game and put it revealed in any space in the bureau at the start of the next game. Defeat this card. If there isn't one, use the top character of the Academy instead. Interesting. So you get an extra card back. If we got too close, it's Old-Fashioned Top. The first time you defeat an enemy, alien, creature, or spirit, defeat this card instead. Doesn't like non-humans, basically. Or we might get Demotion. Don't add Academy cards to the bureau at the start of the next game. They don't add normally. Put us in pay 2 equal to the... recruit equal to the empty spaces stand to fill it. When the bureau is full, defeat this card. Oh, so you gotta keep paying to keep filling. So basically you have to pay each one to put a card out. You still then scan it right after that to get it. But yeah, it's gonna take a while to get rid of this. Otherwise, they're gonna keep having to pay for them every time. So basically you wanna buy each spot first. That sucks. And then for Reyes, we have Help, because Sense of Evil. It's the end game before you start the next game. Oh, so you have an idea of what you're gonna have to deal with. That's cool. Or she has Reincarnation. If you have an additional belief for the next game. Belief, Lessons of the Past, gain and defeat Gain a defeated character, defeat this card. That's cool. But if she got too close, missing colleague. Shuffle the special agents into the academy for the next game. Oh, that's kind of neat. And then under suspicion. Don't add informants to the enemy deck for the next game. Defeat this card. That could be hard too. Then we have one final one that you could shuffle in as well if you want to make the game a little bit harder. This says they may have won. The series is over. You have lost. So if you like to make the series more difficult, shuffle this in with their with the unexpected help cards after you lose the game. If it's drawn, you're destroyed. So this kind of just adds, like, so if you're playing 4 players, you're going to shuffle those 8 cards in there, you're going to draw one. You might, one of 8, and now one of 9 cards, might just automatically end the game regardless. So that could be kind of a fun, interesting one to play. Alright, so that is what we have for the X-Files Legendary Encounters. All the Academy and Hero characters. Come back for video part 3 where we go through all the conspiracy cards. You just see all the villains and the events and all the nasties. And then, plus you just see all the evidence and lead and all those cool stuff. See you guys there. Bye.